Let's see what we got here today. Saturday. Have a bit of fun, maybe. I don't know. Blue Planet Spacecraft Club. What year do we got here? 1968. Oh, what were they doing? Going up and down. I just thought this was an interesting little article here of the man who saw Venus. Wow. Alan Noonan, by profession, is an artist, sign painter, and decorator. When I interviewed him recently, he lived in Long Beach, California, and ran an art gallery there. He since has moved to San Francisco. The interview conducted on a Saturday afternoon in the Sheraton Wilshire Hotel, Los Angeles, had nothing to do with Noonan's profession. He had come to talk to me about flying saucers and space travel. Noonan can make flying saucers appear at will, he says, and he once visited the planet Venus, as well as having made a trip from Earth through the Milky Way. Who else recently says that he can summon spacecraft to his backyard? Mr. Greer. Maybe they're related. Noonan, a middle-aged man with a glossy, bald scalp and cherubic face. He neither drinks nor smokes. Maybe somebody give him some mushrooms or something. Tobacco and alcohol just don't fit in, he explains. They break my lines of communication with the spaceships. It should be explained that Noonan was referring to yet another facet of his involvement with flying saucers. He says he is in the constant communication with the flying saucer crewmen. I am in mental communication with these ships, he says, and there are many of them in our atmosphere right now. Noonan says he first became aware that he could communicate with flying saucer crews one weekend morning in October 1960. He had taken his two children on a drive from Long Beach into the turn the page here. Into the Mojave Desert of California to attend a flying saucer convention. The conventions are held annually at Giant Rock, which is near a town called Joshua Tree. I wonder if it's still going on. You never know. On a plateau in the mountains above Palm Springs. These conventions were founded as a yearly pilgrimage because a man named George Van Tassel claims he saw a flying saucer land there and was taken aboard for an inspection tour of the alien spaceship. Oh, interesting. It was about 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning that I arrived at Giant Rock with my daughter Lori and my son Stephen, Noonan says. There were no clouds in the sky. It was just as clear as it could be. The open desert was very hot. It was then that I realized a communication from the United Planets Organization, the Planetary Command, in effect, through mental channels. The beings from outer space told me that they would furnish shade for us at 2:30 that afternoon. There were about 1,500 people attending the convention at Giant Rock that day. The space people told me to inform the crowd that there would be a flying saucer demonstration after that afternoon. I was surprised at the communication. It was unexpected. I began to wonder how the space people were going to furnish shade for us all at the heat for all of us in all that heat, and what all this actually meant. At exactly 1:30 p.m. I received the communication in my mind. The space people told me to send an aura from the center of myself to the center of the sun. When I asked them mentally what this meant, they explained to me that it would be like sending out a radar beam. If I could concentrate my mind on the sun, the motherships would be able to pick up my communications and come in between us here on Earth and the sun. Well, Newton's quite the character. Newton describes the motherships as huge vehicles that house a tremendous number of smaller spacecraft. They are at least a mile in length and anywhere from 600 to 800 feet in width, he says. The smaller flying saucers, as they leave the mothership, are propelled at fantastic speeds by fields of force, such as magnetism and electricity. In Newton's words, every time a small ship stops and hovers in our atmosphere, its force field ionizes the air into a cloud. The ship then moves on to another location and stops, leaving the first cloud to expand and grow larger. The second cloud expands also when the ship leaves that location. So I concentrated my mind on the sun, then all of a sudden the clouds began to form between the earth and the sun. There were many of the small ships in the sky that afternoon, and clouds were forming everywhere around the sun. A crowd at Giant Rock just went wild. Pretty soon the clouds merged into one great cloud and cast on the whole desert in shade. Cast the whole desert into shade. Right? The great cloud was translucent, sort of amber in color. There was still a certain amount of light coming through it as the people gathered at Great Rock began to realize that what I had told them in the morning was true, and they just were beside themselves. Later, the crowd at Giant Rock began to criticize Newton's performance. At first, they were wildly enthusiastic about the flying saucer demonstration that I had been instrumental in announcing, he says, until their mundane consciousness caught up with them. Should we continue on? We'll make part 2.